is supported in part through state general funds through the Department of Aging and Rehab Services. I also just wanted to do a quick overview of the services provided by the Brain Injury Association of Virginia. We are a nonprofit organization. We provide individuals with information referral. We do care navigation and resource coordination. We provide assistance support to support group leaders and support groups around the state, along with facilitating our own support group that meets in Richmond. We host an annual camp for adults with brain injury, an annual conference, caregiver forum, webinars such as these, and other educational opportunities. We work with policy members to grow services for people affected by brain injury, and we also are part of a statewide effort to reach out to those newly injured in Virginia with supports and information, and host public awareness and prevention activities. Just real quick, a few housekeeping items, just to let everyone know that we are going to record this session. If you want to view the session in the future, just let me know and we can provide you with the recording. If you have a question throughout the presentation, there is a questions tab to the right. Type in your question and our presenter will get to the questions either throughout the presentation or at the end of the presentation. I also wanted to let you know, you can also see to the right of your screen, there is a handouts tab. So you can download a brochure about ABLEnow. You can also download your certificate of attendance. So if you need a certificate of attendance, go ahead and take a minute to download you a copy of that right now. And that way you will have that for your records. The PowerPoint is not going to be available just because the information is kind of time sensitive and will be changing. So if you need additional information, you can always visit the ABLEnow website. I'm going to stop for a second and give everybody an opportunity to do those downloads if they're interested. Our presenter today is Sarah Pennington. Sarah serves as the Senior Marketing Communications Associate for ABLEnow, the National Able Savings Program offered by the Commonwealth of Virginia. Prior to joining ABLEnow, Sarah worked in a variety of communication roles in other state agencies and some private sector organizations. She holds a bachelor's degree from Virginia Tech and a master's degree from West Virginia University. She lives in Richmond, Virginia, enjoys serving the community through the Junior League of Richmond and Special Olympic of Virginia's Young Professional Sports. So I'm going to turn things over to Sarah.
Thank you so much, Deborah, and thank you all for joining me. Good afternoon. I really appreciate the opportunity to share information about ABLEnow. Like Deborah said, my name is Sarah Pennington, and I work in the marketing and outreach and education for the ABLEnow program. So let's start with what we will cover in this presentation. So today, my hope is that you'll leave the session with an understanding of the ABLE Act. And the ABLE Act establishes the rules and requirements for ABLE accounts, such as who's eligible and how much you can save. We'll cover the features and benefits of the ABLEnow program and how you can get more information and open an account. I also wanted to sort of start off this session talking about why is ABLE accounts important? Why is this information important? So ABLEnow is an important financial tool for Americans with disabilities. These accounts allow individuals with disabilities to save money in a tax-advantaged account without impacting truly essential supports and services. It really does empower the self-determination and financial independence of Americans with disabilities. But I'll mention that we have a long way to go to spread the word about these new accounts. It's estimated today that about 8 million Americans with disabilities are eligible for an ABLE account, but only 25,000 ABLE accounts have been opened across the country. And if you're doing your quick math, you recognize that that is less than 1% of eligible Americans with disabilities have opened an ABLE account to date. And so we have a long way to go to spread the word and do education and partnership with organizations like the Brain Injury Association to make sure that individuals with disabilities are using this really valuable new tool. So I'll also mention that I can give information about the ABLEnow program, but I am a state employee, and as a state employee, we cannot provide legal, financial, tax, or benefits advice. So we definitely recommend you consult with a professional in that area if you have questions about your specific situation and how an ABLE account can benefit you. So let's start with what is ABLE. So for too long, people with disabilities could not save for the future out of fear of losing their benefits. As many of you are likely aware, individuals with disabilities can typically only have $2,000 in assets at any given time in order to remain eligible for many federal benefit programs, such as SSI. Advocates fought very hard to change this, and that resulted in the Federal ABLE Act and Virginia's ABLEnow program. ABLE accounts are a new savings option specifically designed for eligible individuals with disabilities to save private funds for the purpose of paying qualified disability expenses. You're empowered to save up to $15,000 each year in an ABLE account without endangering your eligibility for certain means-tested disability benefits, such as Medicaid and SSI. The Federal ABLE Act of 2014 modified the U.S. tax code and opened the door for states to set up ABLE accounts. In 2015, Virginia became the first state in the country to pass ABLE legislation after the federal ABLE statute passed. So we're really proud of that here in Virginia. This state legislation authorized the development of an ABLE program in Virginia. And on your screen, you'll see President Obama signing the Federal ABLE Act in 2014. And again, that Federal ABLE Act opened the door and allowed states to set up their own ABLE programs. And we're really proud Virginia was leading the way in passage of the Virginia ABLE legislation in 2015. So what is ABLEnow? That brings us to what is ABLEnow. So ABLEnow is the Virginia-sponsored ABLE savings program, and it opened in December 2016. So this winter we'll be celebrating our 2-year anniversary. Although ABLEnow is sponsored by the Commonwealth of Virginia, our program is available nationwide to eligible individuals in all 50 states. Regardless of where you live, you can open your ABLE accounts with ABLEnow. And today we're really proud we're one of the fastest growing ABLE programs in the country, and we have ABLE accounts open in all 50 states. We're also administered by Virginia 529, and hopefully many of you have heard of Virginia 529. Perhaps you or someone in your family may already be a customer. We are an independent Virginia state agency that offers a variety of programs to make education more accessible and affordable to families. We are the largest college savings program in the country. We have more than 2 million accounts, and we manage more than $69 billion in college savings assets. That's billion with a B. And last year, we celebrated our agency's 20-year anniversary. So Virginia 529 is proud to help people dream, save, and achieve. And with ABLEnow, our mission has become even more inclusive. Now, this next slide is really brand new information. We are really excited to have opened the ABLE America program just last month in July 2018. So previously, you had to open an ABLE account online with a direct sold program such as ABLEnow. But ABLE America is an advisor-sold ABLE savings plan, which may appeal to people who prefer working with a financial advisor. It's the first and only ABLE program available only through financial advisors. ABLE America is distributed by American Funds. It's a family of mutual funds from the Capital Group, one of the world's largest investment management firms. And like our ABLEnow program, Able America is sponsored by Virginia 529 and is open to eligible individuals in all 50 states. So like other ABLE programs, Able America is governed by the rules and requirements of the ABLE Act. But for the purposes of this presentation, we will focus on our direct sold program, ABLEnow. However, we definitely wanted to make sure you are aware that there is an ABLE program available through financial advisors. And contact your financial advisor if you're interested in learning more about Able America. So now this next slide and series of slides, we'll talk about some of the rules that the ABLE Act, the federal guidelines, have established. And first we'll jump into who is eligible. So ABLEnow is a national ABLE program open to eligible individuals in any U.S. state. Who is an eligible individual? An eligible individual is someone who develops the onset of their disability before age 26 and is either entitled to SSI or SSDI based on their disability, or you self-certify that you have a qualifying disability diagnosis from a physician. We have an eligibility quiz available on our website to walk you through these guidelines. And it's important to note that an eligible individual may only have one ABLE account open at any time. And before we move on, I wanted to jump in a bit to that age restriction, the age 26. The ABLE Act currently limits account owners to those who develop the onset of their disability prior to age 26. You can definitely open an ABLE account well after age 26. In fact, with ABLEnow, our oldest customer, I think, is in their 80s. And we have, customers as young as, 6 months old. So everything in between. But the common thread is you have to have developed your disability before the age of 26. However, there is a national advocacy movement to change this and open these accounts up to more Americans with disabilities. That age 26 was an arbitrary number to ensure passage of the ABLE Act in 2014. There is proposed legislation with Congress called the ABLE Age Adjustment Act that would extend the age of onset for disabilities to age 46 for ABLE eligibility purposes. So it takes that onset of disability before the age of 26 up to the onset of the disability before age 46. This is supported widely among disability advocacy organizations, including the Brain Injury Association of America. And advocates are urged to contact their representatives and senators in Washington, D.C. to support this legislation and ensure its passage prior to the session ending in 2018. So if you'd like to see this age of onset increased, which would open ABLE accounts up to millions more Americans with disabilities, please contact your representatives in DC. It's important that we can open ABLE accounts up to even more folks that could really use them. And like Deborah said at the beginning, I'm going to pause throughout this session to see if there's any questions on anything we've covered up to this point. So, and remember, I think you can send your questions through the screen. Deborah, do we have any questions to date about anything that we've covered so far in our presentation?
We do not have any questions, but somebody just asked one.
Yes.
Regarding the eligibility, where you say a person can self-certify that they have a qualifying diagnosis, where do you find what a qualifying diagnosis is?
Yep, so the ABLE Act uses pretty broad definition of disability, but it uses similar disability definitions to the Social Security Administration. So you can find some of those details on our website when you're going to open the accounts. And like I mentioned, we have a quick quiz, an eligibility quiz that goes through some of those disability determinations. I will mention, and that's a great question, we do not ask to see the diagnosis. This is really something that we encourage folks to keep in their records in case they're ever audited by the IRS for their ABLE account. So, keep those records handy, but it's not something that you have to submit when you're opening your ABLE account. You are self-certifying that, yes, I am either entitled to SSI or SSDI, or I am self-certifying because I have a qualifying disability diagnosis from a physician, and that says, yes, I have a disability and the onset was prior to age 26.
Okay, and we have one more question. You're probably going to cover some of this, but what is the difference between an ABLE account and a special needs trust is the next question.
So we'll probably cover some of that as we get more into the nitty-gritty about ABLE accounts, so stay tuned for that. I think that's a great segue into some of these follow-up slides, but I wanted to pause and see if there are any questions on eligibility. So let me keep moving forward, and let's talk about how can I use the money in an ABLE account. So money in your ABLEnow account can be used at any time for any reason to pay for a qualified disability expense. And your expense is qualified if you incur the expense at the time you're considered an eligible individual, the expense relates to your disability, and it helps you maintain your health, independence, and quality of life. Now, of course, each person is unique, and the specific needs of individuals can really vary, but we have some examples of qualified disability expenses on this slide, and it's, expenses include but are not limited to the categories here. They were intentionally designed to be broad, as qualified disability expenses can vary, and but you'll see that they cover basic living expenses, health and wellness, housing, transportation, education and training, assistive technology, legal fees, financial management, and more. Some of the other categories that I've heard of include end-of-life expenses like funeral and burial. And like I said, basic living expenses is a very broad category. But I've heard different examples of, for example, could someone take a vacation? And, the conversation there that I've heard is if a therapeutic vacation can help you maintain the quality of your life, you could definitely use the funds in your ABLE account. If you require an attendant, then the account could be used for their expenses as well. But, I probably wouldn't use an ABLE account to send, your extended family and friends, 20 people on a vacation. The real intent of these accounts is to make sure that the account holder, that you have the financial tool means to help maintain your health, independence, and quality of life. So make sure it relates back to how you are living your life and your quality of life. But that's the broad examples of how you can use money in your ABLE accounts. We definitely recommend you keep records and receipts on how you are spending the money in your accounts. When you open your ABLEnow accounts, there's an online ABLEnow consumer portal, and you can track expenses, making notes and records regarding your qualified expenses there. But if you're ever audited by the IRS, they will want to see ensure that you are using the money in your ABLE account on expenses that relate to your health, independence, and quality of life. Now, this next slide, we're going to talk about the benefits of having an ABLEnow account. So first, we talk about ABLEnow and how it's flexible. We designed it to be easy to manage, easy to contribute, and easy to use to pay for qualified expenses. We've made these accounts very affordable, and we'll talk about some of the fees in a follow-up slide to this. But we've also designed it to be very simple to open your accounts. Most folks tell me it takes, 20, less than 30 minutes sometimes to open their ABLEnow accounts and really get started. These accounts are tax advantaged. So the earnings on your investments grow free from federal taxes as long as you use the account for qualified disability expenses. And in addition, some states offer state tax advantages. And since this is a webinar for Virginians primarily, in Virginia, earnings grow free from federal and state taxes. And Virginia also offers an annual state income tax deduction of up to $2,000 per contributor for contributions into an ABLEnow account. So what that means is if you put $2,000 or even more, but up to $2,000 in your ABLEnow account, you can get up to a $2,000 state tax deduction if you're a Virginia taxpayer. If other people are contributing to your account, they would also get a state tax deduction of up to $2,000 per contributor for contributions to your account. So that's a really great incentive to for Virginians to open and use their ABLEnow account. And lastly, and probably the most important benefit and the reason why the ABLE Act was passed is that it doesn't impact benefits. So generally, ABLE funds are disregarded when determining eligibility for most means-tested benefits. As a brief summary, for SSI benefits, an account balance up to and including $100,000 is disregarded when it comes to being eligible for those benefits. Money in excess of $100,000 is considered an asset and may cause SSI benefits to be reduced or suspended. But remember, you can save $15,000 a year currently, and so it'll take a while to reach that goal of $100,000 in your account. But know that, that is the cutoff. If you need to receive any SSI benefits, the account can't go over $100,000. There's also no impact on Medicaid benefits, regardless of how much money is in the ABLEnow account. It's important to note here that after the account owner dies and after all their final expenses are paid, funds remaining in the ABLE account may go to reimburse the state for Medicaid-related services. Some states have passed a state law that would prohibit this Medicaid payback, but I do want to mention here that there is a Medicaid payback on ABLE accounts for most states. So know that, in your planning and in your financial planning and in opening an ABLEnow account, these are some of the, benefit considerations that you do want to take. Again, SSI benefits, you can receive SSI and have an account balance of up to $100,000. And then for Medicaid, you can have any amount in your account, but know that when the beneficiary passes away, the funds remaining in the account can go to reimburse the state for Medicaid-related services. Now, for these rules and details, we have all of this information on our ABLEnow website. Deborah, I'm going to pause here just because we covered a lot of information when we were talking about the benefits. Are there any questions that have come in before we dive into the letter?
We have a couple more questions.
Yeah.
Okay, the first one is kind of a scenario question. So an individual has a brain injury prior to age 26, receives rehab, and then ends up being able to return to work, also received SSI at that time. But later in life, the initial brain injury causes the individual to kind of not be able to continue to work and have some problems at age 43. Is that person eligible for ABLEnow because of that initial incident? Was the question.
That's a great question. So the answer is yes, they would be eligible as long as they had their disability prior to age 26. And in this scenario, it sounds like they did. You can absolutely open an ABLEnow account at any age, from, a few months old to, being in your 70s, 80s, 90s, as long as you had the onset of your disability before the age of 26, which is what the law states today. So yes, that person would be eligible for an ABLE account.
Okay, great. Got two more questions. The first one is, does means testing include federal financial aid for college?
that's a good question, and let me pause for a second. So we look to the federal laws to provide us with guidance. I will mention that we are still waiting for final guidance to be issued from the U.S. Department of Education on how ABLE relates to financial aid. I think that's the probably the meat of the question. So I can mention the intent of ABLE is to not impact, and this is the way the law is written, not impact means tested disability benefits. But we have, guidance from the Department of Treasury, from the Social Security Administration, from the U.S. Department of Agriculture, and other federal agencies. But when it comes to the U.S. Department of Education, they have not released their final guidance. So, all we can kind of lean on is the intent of the law and of ABLE accounts. If you have specific questions, I definitely recommend consulting someone that can provide guidance there. But I don't know if I answered that question properly, but I can kind of point you in the right direction to say, you might want to look into that a little bit more because the U.S. Department of Education has not given final guidance on ABLE.
Okay, great.
It is such a new law.
Sure. All right, we got a couple more. Can ABLEnow contributions be used for IRWEs?
That IRWE, that is a new, do you know, Deborah? That is a new abbreviation for me.
Yeah, Teresa, if you can clarify, we can get back to that question. And then we have one more question.
If it's a question, I'm not sure exactly what IWRE stands for, but just kind of going back to how can the funds in the account be used, I've, asked the person who sent that question, if that's a expense that, ask yourself, does it benefit my health? Does it benefit my independence? Or does it benefit my quality of life? And if the answer is yes, then, almost always that expense would be a qualified disability expense.
Okay, and Teresa actually clarified it stands for impairment-related work expenses through Social Security.
Yeah, again, I go back on if that's an expense that you have incurred, that, and certainly we talked about on the slide where we talked about qualified disability expense, ABLE can be used for different training and education expenses. So not knowing that exact program, but I would imagine that would be an expense that, sounds like it would improve quality of life for an individual.
Okay, great, thanks. All right, we've got a couple more.
Okay, good. I'm glad good questions are coming in.
Yeah. If there is a physical injury settlement involved, would it benefit to structure the settlement with payments of $50,000 a year? So I guess this individual is talking about benefits that an individual might accrue due to a settlement. Would it make sense?
I think that sounds like it would be a good question to take to somebody who can, from a legal perspective, can help them best plan for that scenario. Definitely, I can't give financial or legal advice, but I will say, think about what we talked about, how an ABLE account is structured and how you can save up to $15,000 a year. So for someone who has some kind of settlement that's more than $15,000 that year, they definitely should seek the advice of an attorney to figure out how to best structure that. And I know we had a question a couple minutes ago about, the differences between an ABLE account and a special needs trust. And I think this is probably a good time to, I'm not addressing that exact question, just really talking about ABLE accounts. But, in ABLE accounts, you have that limitation of being able to save $15,000 a year. Oftentimes, the special needs trust, you can, have more unlimited amounts that you can save. So that's where, if you have a settlement that's, above that $15,000 a year, I think that would be a great time to look into opening a special needs trust. and then understanding how an ABLE account can work in conjunction with a trust. A person can have both a special needs trust and an ABLE account. An ABLE account is designed to be, very affordable and accessible, but, there are some limitations, like that age limitation we talked about, where you have to have had the disability before age 26. And then, of course, how much you can save is limited to $15,000 a year.
Okay, great. We've got a couple more questions. Would you like to address those now, or?
Let me keep going, and we'll have time at the end to talk more about questions, but I do appreciate all the great questions that we're getting. So let me keep going. So we talked about the benefits, and I'm going to go into a couple more specific benefits that I hear from customers that they really appreciate. So the first is the ABLEnow Card, and all ABLEnow account holders receive the ABLEnow Card. It's a debit card providing a simple, fast way to pay for those qualified disability expenses straight out of your ABLE account. There's no additional cost for this feature. An ABLE card can be used for a transaction of up to $5,000. For anything higher, you could do an online bill pay and have that money transferred directly to the payee. But you can use your ABLEnow card anywhere Visa is accepted for a transaction up to $5,000. Now, I will note, an ABLEnow card cannot be used for cash withdrawals out of an ATM. You can only use it for purchases. Another feature you'll see on the slide that our customers really appreciate is the ability to make and receive gift contributions directly into the ABLEnow account. We offer a special website for family and friends to make online gift contributions. You just need to know the account owner's last name and their account number, and there is no fee for this service. In addition to the website, gift contributions could also be made directly into an ABLEnow account by mail. So gift givers also benefit from their contribution too if they're Virginia taxpayers. Remember, Virginia offers that annual state income tax deduction of up to $2,000 per contributor for contributions. So this is a great way for people to give to friends and family and also get a tax deduction for it. So that's something that is really appealing to folks about ABLE accounts. Anyone can contribute. So now let's talk more about how these ABLEnow accounts work and the investment options. We make it easy to save and invest at your own pace. The first $2,000 in your ABLEnow account is automatically allocated to the deposit account, which is linked to your ABLEnow card. And that's an FDIC-insured savings deposit account. And you can continue saving your contributions into this deposit account. So you could put $15,000 into your ABLEnow account this week and keep it all in that FDIC-insured deposit account. But if you'd like to invest, and many of our customers do, once the balance in the deposit account exceeds $2,000, you have the option to invest additional contributions into one of these 4 investment portfolios. And each option is intended to address different investment strategy and risk tolerance. So you'll see on your slide, we have an aggressive growth, moderate growth, conservative income, and money market. And the first 3 are Vanguard Life Strategy funds, and then the money market is a Fidelity money market. But like I said, the default is that FDIC-insured deposit account. But if you want to invest, you definitely can divvy up your portfolio into one of these funds, which is a great option for folks. Let's talk about the account costs, and we're really proud that ABLEnow offers some of the lowest fees in the country among ABLE programs. So with ABLEnow, there is no enrollment fee. You could open your account today and there is no fee to enroll. There is no minimum contribution. There is an account service fee of $3.25 per month, And that's waived if you maintain a balance of $10,000 in that ABLEnow deposit account. And then if you choose to invest, there are asset-based fees depending on your investment selections. And we offer all of this information when you open the account. You can find the account fee schedule on our website for complete details. I'm also going to stop here and I'm going to address some updates that we have for 2018. So you're probably heard of the new tax bill that provided some enhancements and flexibilities specifically for ABLE accounts. So last year, the account contribution limit was $14,000 a year. And this year, the account contribution limit increased to $15,000 per year. And this will continue to go up with inflation as the years pass. But for 2018, you can save up to $15,000 in your ABLEnow account. There's also the potential to take advantage of the Savers Tax Credit. So definitely talk with your CPA, financial advisor about that if you can take advantage of that. The Abel Financial Planning Act passed, and that allows transfers from a 529 college savings account. So for some folks, they may have had a 529 college savings account set up for them. And then let's say there's a diagnosis or an injury and you need to use those funds more immediately or have wider flexibility to use those funds. This is the benefit of the Abel Financial Planning Act. It allows you, still using that $15,000 a year, to roll over 529 funds into an Abel account tax and penalty free. So that's a great option for folks that benefit from that. And finally, we're really excited about the Able to Work Act, which incentivizes Able beneficiaries to work. So customers who are working adults earning their own money can actually save more than $15,000 a year as long as they're saving their own income and they're not contributing to an employer-sponsored retirement fund. They can actually be using Able for their retirement fund in a way that won't impact any of those benefits, services, or supports. So depending on how much you earn, you are eligible, if you're saving your own income, to save, it's close to $30,000 a year. I think it's $27,000, a little over, in your Able accounts in 2018. And that's an annual thing, as long as you're saving your own income. So the $15,000, initial $15,000 can come from anywhere, but you can go above and beyond that as long as you're saving your own income. And there's more information on that on our website if you are eligible to take advantage of that opportunity. So those are 4 new updates for 2018. And I'm going to go into the next steps, how to open the Able accounts and get more information, but I'll pause here, Deborah, and see if there's any questions before we go into the last 5 minutes of content.
Sure, yes, we have a couple questions. One person is asking, their son sustained his brain injury a few days prior, 12 days after he turned 26. And is there any leeway on the age, or is it a strict?
It's a strict law today, but I would love for that person to share their story. And I think those are the stories that can really make an impact in DC when we're asking to increase the age, because, if he sustained his injury a few days before his 26th birthday, he could be taking advantage of this Able account. If the fact is he sustained it shortly after his 26th birthday and he's not eligible, and that's just not fair. So I think their story, will really make an impact, if they're able to, contact their representatives in DC and ask, for the Able Age Adjustment Act. I think they could really make an impact. And then fingers crossed that it does pass. And that will open. I think I mentioned at the beginning of my presentation that today there's 8 million Americans with disabilities eligible for an ABLE account. That number will increase by 6 million if we open it up to people who had their disability before age 46. And so fingers crossed for that family that, you know, hopefully in 2019 they'll be able to open his ABLE account. Good question.
Yeah. The next question, how does the state tax deduction work? Is it a one-to-one deduction?
Yeah, so it's a state tax deduction, and, you know, contact the person that prepares your state taxes, or a lot of those TurboTax websites have more information when it comes to tax time, but keep the receipts, and yeah, you can take a tax deduction for up to $2,000, and yeah, just search for, you know, ABLE tax deduction, or ask your tax preparer about that. Okay, and the last question, we have two, but they're pretty similar, just asking about paying an individual or a family member for personal care in addition to what Medicaid is already providing. Is that an option? Yes, so that's absolutely, that's a lot of our customers are using their ABLE account to help supplement Medicaid or other, you know, health support options. And so that's a great way to, you know, certainly use the funds, and an ABLEnow account is to pay for an attendant and pay for those kind of resources that aren't currently covered by Medicaid, or some extra care. Yes. Okay. All right, let me go into these next few slides on how to open an ABLE account and where folks can get more information. So next steps. So this is a screenshot of our website, and to open your account, you open it online. So go to able-now.com, and there's a button at the top of the page that says open an account. That's our application, and it'll walk you step by step through opening the account. So click on that. You'll also see on our website the arrows pointing to the My Account button. When you have your ABLEnow account open, that's where you go to manage the account. Look at your balance and make notes on those qualified disability expenses. We talked about the special website for gift contributions. That site right there that says Give a Gift, that's the one to share with friends and family. They can easily make a contribution directly into your ABLEnow account. And then we'd encourage folks on the call to subscribe to the newsletter. As you heard, there are a lot of updates for 2018, and we, you know, anticipate more and more improvements made to ABLE as the years go on. So make sure you're receiving our newsletter and getting all that information. And then lastly, if you want, if you have any questions at all after this call, or if I didn't get to your question, make sure you contact us. You can call us, email us, do an online chat. Yeah, call, email, online chat, and we're happy to answer any questions that you have. What do you need to open your ABLEnow account? If you are opening the account for yourself, you just need the name, your name, address, date of birth, social security number, and then when you have the account open, you can link another bank account, and that's how you can make contributions and distributions from the account. If you're opening the account for somebody else, you just need your information as well as theirs. We make it really simple. If you're opening it for a person under 18, a parent must open and manage as the authorized representative. If you are opening for an adult who's 18 or over, a parent, legal guardian, or somebody with power of attorney can open and manage as an authorized representative. A parent can open the ABLEnow account for a child of any age, and we don't need to see any documentation. But if you are opening it as a legal guardian or with power of attorney, you must submit relationship documentation prior to contributing or distributing funds from the account. And we walk you through all of those requirements in the application. And now lastly, we just ask that you share information about ABLEnow with your community. So go to our website, subscribe to updates. You can follow us on Facebook and Twitter. And then we ask, help us spread the word. As you know, less than 1% of eligible individuals have opened their ABLEnow accounts or opened their Abel accounts. And so we definitely want to spread the word about Abel accounts with community groups and people who may be interested in the program. So feel free to contact us and let us know if you have an opportunity to speak or distribute brochures. We're happy to do that. And then lastly, we are giving away a chance to win a $500 ABLEnow account. So if you go to that website, abel-now.com/win, you can enter your information for a chance to win a $500 ABLEnow account. That's a kind of a fun and exciting way that we're working to spread the word about the program and share it with your friends and family. And then as promised, this is our customer service information and our last slide. You can call us toll free, email us, and then again, we have that online chat as well. All right, Deborah, that is all the content that I have, and I think we have another few minutes if we've received any additional questions.
Okay, great. We do not have any questions right now. I'll just pause for a minute and make sure no one has a question they want answered before we wrap things up. But we really appreciate this great information. Okay, I don't see any new questions coming in, but as you said, there's lots of resources on your website to answer questions or chat, or the 1-800 number if people, or 1-844 number if people have questions.
Absolutely, yeah. We want to make it easy. Our customer service is here in Richmond. We're open 8:30 to 5 all Monday through Friday, and we are happy to answer any ABLEnow questions that folks think of after the call, or if we just didn't get to their question. We are happy to make sure people have the right information about Abel accounts. And then we also get calls there. Can you send us 50 brochures, that I can hand out to this group, or, invite us to give presentations, and we're happy to get those as well. We're working hard to spread information about ABLEnow and answer all the questions from the community.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Sarah.
Yeah, thank you, Deborah. I appreciate you having us.
All right, thank you for joining us.